I'm Natalie Z, and you're listening to You Might Know Her From with Damien and Anne.
Come on, knock on our door. Yoo-hoo.
I'll be waiting for you. Let me tell you the truth.
I loved Three's Company.
I've never seen a single episode all the way through. I know. Do I know Three's Company? Do I know Joyce DeWitt? Do I know...
You're such a Suzanne Summers fan. That's such an insult.
I love
It's one of the most...
Suzanne Summers. She is so
important. It's one of the richest
me.
Pieces of her oeuvre.
I completely understand. Chrissy, right? I remember also that like John Ritter's testicles were often on display because his shorts were so short.
Yeah, he often had what they call that moose knuckle.
Oh, right. Yes. And was it Don Knotts who lived next door? Not Don Knotts.
Don Knotts was Mr. Furley. And then later...
It is Don Knotts. Okay.
And then later it became... There was another couple, the Ropers. I think the Ropers were after...
Who's the one that wore the ascots? Don Knotts?
I think that's Mr. Roper you must be thinking of.
I think it is
I don't
too.
remember.
This is what I'm saying.
Mr. Furley... I mean, my memory of Mr. Furley is he's like very Gilligan in his style.
We just lost Don Wells. We lost Marianne the last couple of weeks. She's dead. She died of COVID. Sorry. It's a terrible, terrible time. This is what you get.
Hello.
This is the kind of knowledge.
Hello. And welcome to another episode of You Might Know Her From with Anne and Damien.
I am Anne.
And I am Damien. And after 3 seasons, I decided to start throwing her name in first sometimes.
Well, for a show about women, you really put me last.
That was not my doing.
I think there. Well, we'll see. We'll go back to the tape. Damien, how are you? It's been quite a January.
Yeah, this week has felt really difficult, really long, really sad, really bleak. You know, sifting through domestic terrorism. I'm going to tell you that I really have to actually not watched a lot of news coverage because I find that it really flares my anxiety up, but really sad state of affairs here. So we want to acknowledge this and, I don't know, say that we're here for you guys. I hope this is some sort of distraction from the current state of the world.
Yeah, we are trying to, keep going all guns
a-blazing?
Well, I'm going to try and use something different.
Yeah, maybe
guns
not a great choice
a-blazing,
of
but
word.
All ships a sail, all ships ahoy. I'm going to say that. All boats a sail. Look, we're going forward. We are trying to provide you a little bit of fun and distraction. And you know what? Honestly, it's good for us, too, to have something to do. Damien and I meet here a couple of times a week on Zoom. And honestly, it's one of the things that's keeping me sane.
Yeah, and also, I don't know if I didn't run this by you, but I'm going to just do it. But, let's say thanks to Jen Leonard, thanks to Kathy's mom, thanks to Dakota, thanks to Phil on Twitter, thanks to Michael on Twitter. thank you to these people that I don't know in real life, but thank you for reaching out and giving us suggestions, letting us know that you're listening and enjoying. Thank you to Colleen. Colleen feels like family now.
Yes, and thank you to Glenn Marla for reaching out to Damien and I over the holidays to talk about Dolly Parton's Christmas on the Square, which is something we did not discuss on this podcast, but was one of the most important viewings for me in December of 2020. So I just feel like we're having great conversations with you. So thanks for being there. We look forward to the day where we can send you pictures of us with an actress in a real life scenario. But until then, we will be here in our respective holes, in our own holes, sending sound waves to your holes.
Also, remember when we were teasing that live show? Ha 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 ha!
Oh, boy.
That'll never happen.
We did have some good people on the line that agreed to our shenanigans, but hopefully someday. Oh, you know what I read?
Oh, tell me.
I don't know. No, it's good. It's good. My mother-in-law sent me a text yesterday, apropos of nothing, that just said that Law & Order SVU had committed to hire as many theater actors as they could for the forthcoming season because they just want to keep as many theater actors employed as possible because no one has any work.
Oh my God, Audra McDonald's going to play a DA. Donna Murphy's going to play a public defender. Tova Feldshuh is going to play the person typing at the stenographer.
The court reporter, yes.
Dana Ivey will be up for that role also, but Tova will beat her. And who's the Mama Rose we don't like?
Linda Lavin.
Yeah, Linda Lavin will be in the mix too.
Guys, Joyce DeWitt, I'm taking it back to Joyce DeWitt. Joyce DeWitt played Madame Rose. There's audio of Joyce DeWitt doing Rose. If I can ever find the footage, that'll be the day.
Let me tell you something for all you theater heads there. I want to translate something that happened if you didn't pick up on it. I said Mama Rose, and Anne didn't want to condescend me.
Sometimes I say Madame Rose.
Sure, she's always does this with this particular thing. She wanted to correct it so that if anyone
I wasn't correcting it. I wasn't
she's maniacally laughing because she feels blushing. But I see you.
Let me tell you why I said Madame Rose is because Arthur Lawrence wrote in his book that her name is Madame Rose and that everybody always calls her Mama Rose, but that's not actually her name in the show.
Yeah, you tricky. How many times have I been drunk on your sofa in Astoria where you told me this? I know, but I saw what you did. I just wanted to call it out.
I slipped it in there.
Folks, it's great to be here with you. I know it's been a hellmouth of a week, a fucking hellmouth of a year, but we have each other, and we don't have Brian Luttrell anymore, and we're not going to...
He's out!
Nope, it's all about AJ.
Look, for me, it's always been about AJ, but honestly, Brian was one of the best dancers. He has a good voice, and he's got that baby face. But guess what, folks? When Mr. Trump was banned, said Senor Trump. When Trump was banned from Twitter this week, like, who cares at this point? You know what I mean? Like, Twitter did not do anything for years, and now they're doing it because they stormed the Capitol. Whatever. I'm over it. It's, like, not a cause to celebrate at this point. But don't worry. Brian Luttrell tweeted that you can find him on Parler, where all of the white supremacists reside. And I thought, what's wrong with you? What is wrong with you?
What is wrong with you? I was AJ really was like, and posted a picture of him holding his Biden mug, which I was like, cool, into infighting in the band. Kick him the fuck out. I think he's cousins with Nick. Anyway.
Yeah, they are cousins. There's always a cousin in the group. I think you're right. AJ continues his reign as the best Backstreet Boy of all time. We'll say it every episode until, you know what? We don't extend any offers to men on this show. AJ McLean is one man I'd have. Look, he doesn't get a full episode. He doesn't get a full episode, but he could have a moment on this show because
20 minutes in a clip show, 20 minutes on a clip show behind a paywall is where he'll be, but we love him. Folks, we're really excited for this interview this week. Is this okay for me to share? This person actually sought us out, which is a first. We haven't talked about that, actually.
Yeah.
This person sought us out, which was a huge compliment to have like a real working, talented actor who's like in high profile projects reach out and be like, I'm a big fan of your podcast. I would love to be on it, because she was actually acting classmates with Tammy Lynn Michaels and also did like a house swap with Annalee Ashford. So connected to two of our previous guests. So we're super excited for this interview because the great Natalie Z, I mean, it was really fun to dive in and explore her oeuvre and her range.
I also got to dive back into one of my favorite shows of all time, which she actually has a podcast about with her husband. And we unearthed one of our favorite gems. One of the best parts of the show is when we get somebody on the show, we do a ton of research. Sometimes we know a lot about the person, sometimes we know very little. But one of the most spectacular gems has been unearthed for this episode. The footage still remains to be seen, but we are seeking this footage. We talk about it in the episode. We can't wait for you to hear it.
You might know her from The Detour,
Justified,
The Other Guys,
The Following,
Dirty Sexy Money,
Californication,
Passions,
and The Unicorn. We are here with actress Natalie Z, and we are thrilled beyond belief because she has brought her own microphone to the table. Natalie, welcome to the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You make it sound like I'm more tech savvy than I am, by which I'm saying tech savvy at all.
Damien was telling you this before we started, but like we used to have actresses say like, can I do this interview from my phone in bed? And we would say no. But now we're saying yes to anything. Natalie, I have absolutely loved diving back into Passions, a daytime soap that I was like over the moon for 2 summers. I watched it for 2 summers with my sister.
Yeah, me too. That's how long I was on it.
Right. Well, we were on the same timeline. So
yeah.
From 2000 to 2001, you starred as socialite Gwen Hotchkiss, a woman embroiled in a love triangle with wealthy Ethan Crane, who ditched you at some point for the housekeeper's daughter, Teresa Lopez Fitzgerald. The show was totally chaotic. So for those that aren't familiar, there was a town witch named Tabitha whose companion was a doll named Timmy that she brought to life, a closet through which you could travel to hell, an orangutan named Precious who was in love with a human man and was also a nurse, and product placement for KY Jelly. Okay, so let's just get down to your character, Gwen. Gwen was like played a lot of like the straight woman because she was in this love triangle. But every once in a while you got to do like some of the classic passions crazy, like my favorite moment when you broke the fourth wall and you got to sing the show's theme song during Teresa's childbirth.
What the fuck was that, first of all?
It's like one of the most magical things. Thank God it still exists online. It's incredible. I made Damien watch it today. It's the beauty of all of this is that your real life husband is Travis Schultz, who played your love interest Ethan on the show. You two recently started a podcast called Passions for Life, where you share the nuts and bolts of being on one of the craziest soaps of all time. So for me, it seems like a badge of honor to have been on that show. But can you talk about if your relationship to that show has changed or evolved over the last 19 years?
Oh, yes, very much so. I mean, it's really gone through the whole like life cycle of starting out. I mean, we're seeing all these revivals and reboots and remakes, and there's this very specific and particular pattern where you do something that's considered sort of lowbrow and not so great, and you lay low for a little while and don't mention it. Like, take it off your resume and pretend like it didn't happen. And when you're doing press, you're like, oh, that thing? No, and then once enough time goes by, it's like bell-bottom jeans, and it comes back around to being kitschy and campy and culty and so many other things that it actually wasn't. But with the distance and the hindsight, you get to make shit up like this was revolutionary. It wasn't. So now we're sort of at that. I think we're at that phase where 20 years have gone by since we left the show, and we are now. It's now considered to be something that it was never considered originally. And Travis and I had both very much distanced ourselves from all of it for a really long time. And then a friend of ours, just sort of in passing, was like, you guys should do a thing about this. And we laughed it off because we thought that was the dumbest idea. And then we thought about it a little bit and realized that there may be an audience for this, because not only have we grown up and not only have we like gotten far enough away from it to find it endearing, but I think the audience, who were all in fifth grade mostly, have also grown up and realized how ridiculous it was, and can not only relate to some of the things that we have to say, but will enjoy hearing some of the backstage stories in a way that they just couldn't handle in fifth grade.
Yeah. Has the podcast unearthed things for you, like the guests, sort of have there been surprises or things that you forgot that sort of have come back up?
Yeah, well, for both of my husband and myself, we're having a bit of a journey because we're having to watch a moment in time for us, and it's such a specific and singular moment for both of us for different reasons. Some, and for the same reasons in other ways. So we're having this parallel journey, but we're also having our own individual journeys as we're watching it. And, we talk about having passions fatigue right now. We just took a holiday break, so we're kind of taking a breather from it. But for a while there, we were really like, I fell asleep watching an episode, which I don't do. I don't just fall asleep. That's not who I am. I'm not one of those people who can fall asleep in public. I legit fell asleep watching it. And we realized, I don't want to spoil anything, but we realized on mic when we were doing the show, when we were doing the podcast for that episode, that the reason I fell asleep was because I wasn't in it. Right. I was like, why would I fall asleep? And because our rule starting out with this was we were not going to do recaps of anything. We're not a recap show. We try and stress that in every episode. But we're not going to talk about shows that we're not both in. Like, that was a very staunch rule of ours. And we fucked up, and we didn't even realize it until, we were on the show, and it all kind of came together and made a lot of sense. And it was such a actress moment for me. It was so embarrassing.
I remember I was in South Pacific in high school, and I never knew how the show ended because I literally only read the parts that I was in, which was like one scene.
What an actress.
Phenomenal talent.
I mean, well done. That's how you do it, girl.
Yeah.
Natalie, you also starred on a show that was very important to me as well, Dirty Sexy Money, a series I was very into. And also, you'll be glad to know that my mom just texted me not 2 weeks ago to be like, hey, I just found this new show. I'm binging it on Hulu. I think you would really like it, Dame. And I was like, what is it? And she was like, Dirty Sexy Money. Of course, this show aired in 2007. So great. I hope that you're getting a residual off Pat Bellino watching it. Okay, so you play Karen Darling, a young socialite heiress who is part of the wealthy Darling family. And I can still remember that opening scene where the whole family like gets out of a stretch limo and there's paparazzi taking photos and like Rage Against the Machine is playing.
Yeah.
You were a series regular on this show. It like had a lot of buzz around it. There was a lot of like marketing push, and you were acting along the side, like the likes of Peter Krause and Donald Sutherland, Billy Baldwin, the late great Jill Clayburgh. ABC gave this show like a big rollout. Did it feel like such a moment for you as an actor because it was like such a thing in the zeitgeist?
Yeah, it was the biggest. So that was during the time we were at the very tail end of network stars getting cars for Christmas, you know? Yeah. I mean, we didn't. We were at the end of it.
I got excited for a minute that you were part of it.
No, we were close. But like, had we been there like a couple of years earlier, we would have gotten cars. But yeah, it felt... I had been on a network show prior to Dirty Sexy Money that lasted 5 episodes, and then no one told me it was canceled. I just Dancing with the Stars was on, and I was like, this isn't my show. So to be treated so differently, you know, we were really the star children of the network when we first got picked up, and the money that was spent on that show, my wardrobe alone was just, what are we doing with these clothes? And the actors that I was acting alongside, I didn't understand how this happened. And that was before all the movie stars were doing all the TVs. It was like it was a huge get for us to get Donald Sutherland and a Baldwin and Jill. And I mean, I still don't even understand how that whole thing happened. It was one of the most fun 2 years of my life, just in terms of like the newness of it and the grandeur of it, and just feeling like I was a part of something that wasn't important, but was just so fluffy and glitzy and shiny and loud. I loved it.
The show had good ratings, but it was like unceremoniously canceled after its 2nd season. And Peter Krause later went on to say that he felt like he was unhappy with the editing because they re-edited the show to sort of like have a different tone than you thought you had when you were shooting. Do you agree with that sentiment? Do you feel like what was on the page was different than how they edited the show?
Yeah, what was on the page was an independent film, basically. I mean, the first, so I actually saw, it's online, it's on YouTube. The first version of, there's this, I don't want to say iconic, it's like whatever. It's iconic for my life. There's this iconic scene in the pilot where the whole family is in the library and arguing and talking over each other. And Jill Clayburgh takes this huge fucking vase and throws it on the ground and breaks it. And it's amazing. So the first iteration of that scene looked so like, it felt like a Wes Anderson movie. Mm-hmm. It was so New York, and it was so dark and cool and over the top, but in a very filmic, cinematic kind of way. Peter Horton was the director of that pilot, and he's an incredible director. And he had such a great dark sensibility about like sort of what was going on underneath all of the stuff. Everything that was happening with the characters and what was being said was not actually real. It was the stuff underneath it. And he got that. And the network was like, yeah, we love this, but we're going to reshoot it and make it look like ABC. Which, I mean, in their defense, it was ABC. But, you know, they went in and they added plucky guitars and bright colors. And that scene was good. It was still really good. It was very bright. But it just, like, the sort of grit was taken away from it. And it was shot in New York. The pilot was shot in New York where it was supposed to be set. And then we did all these reshoots in LA on the Paramount lot, which I love the Paramount lot. It's my favorite one. But it's not a brownstone in New York. So I do agree with Peter, and I think it just kind of kept going from there. They kept wanting to make this show something that it didn't really want to be, and we really tried, and people loved it, and I just think that ultimately it suffered for it.
Natalie, you have a breakout scene in The Other Guys, the action comedy where you star as Will Ferrell's ex-girlfriend, Christineth, and get to dress down Will and Mark Wahlberg. You're so good in it, and it's really great because we got to see you do comedy. But can you talk about that audition process for that super high-profile film and whether or not it opened doors for you to do more comedic work?
Yes, the audition process for this movie was so weird. It was so weird. So I'll preface this by saying that I have not... I don't even know if I should air this particular bit of trivia, but I have not landed a job from an audition in over 10 years.
Oh.
I know. That's why we really, really, really try and go for offer only, because that's the only way I work. I've been like, wait, am I just shitty at auditioning? And I've been told by casting directors I'm not. And it's just a weird thing. Like, I I don't know what it is. So that was the last job I got from an audition. That was a million years ago. Yeah. So I went in, and I was originally auditioning for Mark Wahlberg's ex-girlfriend, who I think was Leslie Sloan, I think is who got that role.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, and she was actually there at the audition. We were back to back. And so I go in, and I'm like, it's Adam McKay and Will Ferrell. So I'm way over the top with this straight character that's not supposed to be. And they're like, she's weird. Okay, thanks, bye. And I'm like, okay, bye. And I walk out, and I get halfway down the hall, and the casting assistant runs out and calls after me and is like, would you mind reading for a different role? The script was not provided for us, so I knew nothing going in. So she's like, would you mind just looking at a different role and taking a look and coming in and reading cold? And I'm like, yeah, no, that's fine. So I look at it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I can go even further over the top. So I went in, and I just went real nuts. I went like cuckoo crazy with this one, and didn't think it was a good idea what I did in that room. Just certainly didn't think that I was acting well, but apparently they saw something and let me do it. And then we went and shot it, and Adam McKay told us after we shot those scenes and he edited the film, he was like, these scenes should have been cut. The movie was long, but I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it.
You're so good in it. Also, I feel like, do people like yell Christina at you on the street?
No, but they do on Twitter sometimes. They'll yell like all caps. Yeah, which is cute. I like it.
Like, did the other guys provide like a reel for you to say like, I can do comedy? Because I think to segue into talking about the Detour, I feel like when Ann and I were watching, we were sort of trying to do the timeline, and we were like, I mean, this had to have like opened casting directors' eyeballs who maybe didn't see you in that way, you know?
Yeah, so basically my agent put that scene at the top of my reel, then at some point just stopped sending anything except that scene. Like when people wanted to see tape, he just sent that scene. And it worked. I think that's how I got the Detour. I mean, I think there were other scenes on my reel than just the other guys when Jason and Samantha saw my reel. But the answer is in all caps, yes. It really, I'd been struggling for a long time for people to even consider me in any kind of comedic role. And that really has really still has helped when, because there are still some holdouts who are like, oh, that girl who does the drama. I'm like, but not since it's been no, I do the other thing even more.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the Detour. I'm really sad to say that I only just started watching it, and I'm so glad that I have discovered it.
It's so good.
It's really,
it's so good.
It's really great. It's really funny. It's super smart. And so for our listeners, the Detour was a TBS comedy where each season uses road trips as a framing device to sort of explore this one particular family's drama, antics, backstory, and even crimes. And you play the matriarch of the Parker family, Robin Randall, and get to really show off your wonderful range, which is so nice. And Jason Jones, who plays your husband, Nate, created the series with his wife, the great Samantha Bee. So I guess my first question is, what was it like working with a real-life married couple behind the scenes? And then also, like, what was it like acting opposite one of the co-creators of the show?
Well, I was, I guess, lucky in a sense because Samantha basically, after the pilot, pieced out to go to more important things. So I didn't ever feel like I needed to draw any comparisons or check in with her or make sure that, she trusted us to be able to do this because it was less about, and I think that there was a misconception in the beginning, rightfully so, that it was about Jason and Samantha's life. And this was sort of what is it? Autobiographical?
Autobiographical. They're
autobiographical. There we go. Yeah. It was just this sort of slice of life idea that Jason and Sam had. And it ended up really just going completely out of control. Like it turned into something that I don't think anybody ever expected it to turn into. We went to like literally the ends of the earth. And we explored, every topic that you could possibly imagine. And so I think that having Jason kind of take the reins gave me an opportunity to take this character in a direction that irrespective of the two of them. And he trusted me to do so. Although he did say at one point in a quiet moment between takes, he said, The character doesn't exist anymore. It's just you. You've just taken over. And he was right. It's like, I was like, oh, I got this. I'm going to take this and run with it.
Okay, Natalie, you starred in the FX series Justified, which is maybe...
I thought that's where this was going.
You felt the vibes. Okay, so sorry in advance if this question is annoying, but you starred as Winona Hawkins, ex-wife but on-again, off-again love of Raylan Givens, played by Timothy Olyphant. The show sort of had like a quiet beginning, but then gained this sort of like huge status and has a crazy fan following. We were interested because in interviews, you seem very pragmatic about like your approach to your career, and that you said... during Justified, after the first season, you were like, guys, if you're not going to use me, if you're done with me, like release me so I can go to pilot season because like I'm ready to, and they were like, oh, wait, no, we want you. We want to keep you, and actually ended up writing more for you. And then you were recurring through all 6 seasons. So because the show ended up being sort of a prestige drama, was there a part of you when you realized that sort of was concerned about how your character was going to get wrapped up, or sort of how you became pivotal and what your storyline would look like? Or was it sort of like, it is what it is?
Do you mean like once it started getting traction, was I like, oh fuck, I should have stayed?
Like, yeah, I'd like to stay on this actually.
No, and what a great question. No, I mean, you would think it would be yes, especially with somebody who's just been dying to do like, notice me, let's do the prestige TV, give me a fucking nomination or something. I knew that character did not. It's not that she didn't belong in that world. She very much belonged in that world, but she didn't belong in that world to the extent that I needed her to. I needed to do more. It's funny. I've always said that like, if the Detour and Justified had switched and I was able to do the Detour before having a baby, and then I got to do the Justified after having a baby, it would have been like, what a dream, because I was going to Santa Clarita to shoot Justified 1 or 2 days a week, if that. And then they would give me like an episode off, which I didn't want or need. And then I would come back and do another like day or two. And I just wanted to work. I just was like dying to fucking work. I just, what else is there if you're not working? And I know now it's the child in the other room. She's plenty. And then with the Detour, I never saw it was just run and gun for 4 years straight when I was shooting that show. And I would, there would be days that would go by where I would leave in the morning before she woke up, and I would come home after she went to bed. And I loved it. It was great. But the timing of that was just so backwards. So Winona was never going to be a big enough and an important enough, rather. That was a bit of an actress Freudian slip. It was never going to be a big enough role for me, was it?
No, but I mean, I think I'm so glad to hear you say that, because watching these like male-led shows, it always feels like the woman is there as a foil to soften the sort of like anti-hero male. And it's true. Like every once in a while, a woman gets to sort of like cut her teeth on something like in Breaking Bad, where the wife actually gets like more to do. But like that was what I kept waiting. Eventually, right.
Eventually. Well, and they did promise that. I don't know if they promised it. They wanted that, or they claimed that they wanted that for me and for the story. And I think that and I don't think they were being disingenuous or dishonest about it. I think that they just couldn't figure it out. And in their defense, it just felt like it would have been forced on the audience, because that's not who they had set this character up to be. So I was more than happy to come back and recur. And it was like coming home every time I went. The homecoming I got was so beautiful, because it was a family. I was there full time for 2 years, and I'd gotten to know these people, and I loved them and they loved me, and I got to be there and I got to be happy. I mean, I've heard stories about things I said in those first 2 years. And I'm like, I didn't say that. I mean, just like, wow, I really had some balls about just being like, guys, put me in. And it all came from a good place of like wanting to be productive. But once I went back as a recurring character, it was just so nice, because there were the expectations were just not there. I had none. I ended up ultimately enjoying it and not feeling like I was left out of the revelry or any of the like critical acclaim or anything. I still felt like a part of that family.
Well, I will say, if you haven't seen them, there's a lot of very intense fan videos of like Winona and Raylan's love story online. So I don't know if you're familiar, but there is a lot. Nice. There's a lot of shipping going on. So I feel like you were, people were invested in you, but also you and Timothy have really great chemistry, for lack of a better word.
I'm okay with that word. I don't know why I went with that.
No, but it is kind of annoying, considering that they put actors and actresses like in chemistry tests to see sort of like if they light in front of the camera.
Yeah.
From that show, from the Detour, do you feel like chemistry with like a lead actor is something that you are able to sort of
yes
bring up at this point, or is it like it is or it isn't?
No, that's a test I can pass almost every time.
I love it. Yeah,
I know. And look, it has nothing to do with anything except I just know how to do it.
Yeah.
It's not this like grand fucking skill that I learned at Yale grad school. I just know what people want to see, and I can hone into another actor in a way that delivers that.
Yeah, totally. I love that.
It's not rocket science, guys.
I'm telling you, if you watch these fan videos, I was watching it because Damien and I were talking, like, it is a craft. We don't possess it. It's like how you look in your angle at the camera, whatever you're like a raise of an eyebrow. But literally these frankly creepy fan videos, are just like long slow-mo shots of your face with like an eyebrow slightly raising or like laughing gently at something Timothy says. And I was like, oh, this is a skill.
Oh, well, you know what I'm going to be doing after this then.
Okay. Natalie, you recently portrayed Rob Lowe's love interest, Zoe, on the series 911 Lone Star and had a very cool conversation about erectile dysfunction with him.
Oh, yeah.
You've also been playing the skunk lady Shannon, the new love interest to Walton Goggins Wade on The Unicorn on CBS. So I'm not certain of the timeline here, but it seems like you were recurring on both of these shows and then the pandemic shut down Hollywood and the world. Can you talk about the timing of those credits and if you have any idea of like what the future might look like for those characters on those series?
Yes. So the basic timeline is that I was held for 9 months by the Detour before they canceled it. I know. It's fine. I mean, yes, but yeah. So that was like 9 months of me not really, I'm not working or not taking work. And then once that became a thing, then, it took us a while to find, what is the next thing. So in the meantime, while we're trying to find, like the more permanent next gig, Lone Star came along and I was like, who doesn't want to work with Rob Lowe? He insisted that we had met before. I know for a fact that we hadn't, but he meets a lot of people, and I don't. So I just went with it. But we have a lot of friends in common, so I think that may have been part of it. Yeah, he's one of the few 80s icons I hadn't made out with at that point. So I was like, let me tick this box. And he was lovely. And it was initially a couple of episodes and we'll see what happens. And then after I did those 2 episodes, Walton Goggins called me and, got like half a sentence into, will you do? And I was like, yes. The idea was, will you do this? And then if we get a second season of The Unicorn, if we get a second season and you're available, we'd love to bring you on. And I'm like, I can't guarantee anything, but yes, will you have me even if I can't do the thing? And he's like, yeah, let's not worry about later on. Let's just do this. So that was around the same time. And then I got a pilot. So I was like, sorry, 911, see you later. And also, sorry, Walton, I think this may go. And I don't think we're going to be shooting in Los Angeles. So it's probably dead. And then the pandemic hit after I shot 1 day of said pilot. And then everything got shut down. So it weirdly worked out for The Unicorn. I mean, I don't want to be too gleeful about that, but it's been incredible. And I feel so fortunate that I've been able to go back to work on a show that is nothing but like sugar and spice and everything just gooey and wonderful and uplifting and sweet.
So you're currently filming more episodes of The Unicorn right now in real time in whatever month this is. I don't even remember.
It's November. Yes, I'm recurring on the second season. I guess technically one would frame it as I am a recurring character on season 2 of The Unicorn.
Okay, Natalie, we are queer and we're always trying to track down with our actresses when a guest has played gay or
Jamie Babbitt. I've worked with Jamie Babbitt a bunch.
Wait.
In TV directing?
TV?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we love Jamie Babbitt, but that was actually not where this question is going.
I know, but I thought I'd just throw it out.
No. I love that. I think we didn't get there, but I love that. Okay. So we're always trying to track down anytime somebody does something that's like gay or gay adjacent and plays gay, etc. So we were incredibly stoked to find out that you co-starred in Kimberly Peirce's short film Boys Don't Cry, which would go on to inspire the feature film starring Hilary Swank and Chloe Sevigny. You played Lana Tisdale, the real-life girlfriend of Brandon Tina, that, of course, Chloe would go on to portray. But sad sadly, we scoured the internet and could find no trace of the film anywhere. So can you take us back to starring in that grad school thesis film, how the project came to you, and what did you think of it, of course, when it then later became this like award-winning indie darling?
Oh, this is the story. So it was my first, and I hate being this asshole because I ended up having much harder times down the line, but it was my first audition after theater school, and I got the part. I didn't know I had the part. You know, obviously it was for Kimberly's short, and I didn't know I had the part. But again, I got like chased down the hall. This is kind of a recurring theme for me. Got chased down the hall. Kimberly chased me down and said, "Which of those girls did you connect with when because they had us all reading together?" And I was like, "Why the fuck are you asking me that?" I mean, that should have been a clue. I was young. I was like 18, 19. And I said, whoever, I don't even remember what I said. I was just trying to figure out why she was asking me. And so, yeah, you know, I find out I get the part. And so what we do is the entire cast spends a month rehearsing in her apartment and basically writing the script. All of us, we sort of all workshopped this script, and she, you know, videotaped it on her little 1990 whatever videotape player. And once we had spent about a month rehearsing, we all went upstate and spent several weeks in a house, all of us, the crew, the cast, everyone in this big house, and all became very close, obviously. And we shot, I want to say, most of it. Percentage-wise, I'm not sure. We didn't finish because we ran out of time and money, I'm sure, because we got very fancy. And so we were also like enthusiastic, and we were very jazzed about what we had done. So she was like, okay, here's what's going to happen. We're going to go back to New York. I'm going to get some more money. I'm going to show investors what we've got. I'm going to get some more money, and we're going to come back up here and we're going to finish this. And we're like, great. There's some middle stuff, but cut to, we never saw it. She sort of abandoned us. Yeah, I know. She ended up piecing together what she had of us and using that to get money to make the feature. And I know this because I went to an audition once and was told by the casting director how great I was in it. And I was like, can you get that for me? Because I haven't seen it. And she was like, I don't think I can. You know, we tried to kind of, we called the unions and tried to get the union to help us get a copy of it. And we were kind of given the cold shoulder. So that was kind of disappointing. And then like years later, I'm reading that, you know, this movie's coming out and I'm like, what the fuck? But the fun little topper to this is that Kimberly was sitting in front of me at a screening for, I think, Handmaid's Tale. And I said to my husband, I was like, do I say something to her? I don't know if we're on good terms or bad terms. I don't know. I don't know what to do. Like, I'm over it. I don't think she's going to remember me. She's so important. I don't know. And he was like, don't be an asshole. And he tapped her on the shoulder. And she was sitting with Jamie Babbitt, actually. Weirdly. There we go. Look at that. And I had to like say my name and it registered. And Kim was so lovely and just so kind and sweet. And we ended up exchanging numbers. And then I saw her again, like at a cafe 2 days later. And then 2 weeks later, I saw her walking down the street. And like, I can't not see her now. So I feel like I'm over any sort of bitterness that would have come from, or that did come from that whole experience. And, you know, she's cool. She's really talented and she's pretty cool.
Okay, Natalie, we have entered the part of the show. If you've listened to episodes before, this is rapid fire. It is rapid fire for me and Anne. It is not rapid fire for you. Just like we have a lot going on and we're just going to throw things at you, but you can take your time.
I love it. Okay.
While researching your TV timeline, we were sad to see that you never made an appearance on our favorite show, The L Word. What's the deal? Why the fuck were you not on that show? Why didn't you audition? Did you audition? And have you ever played a lesbian?
I don't know. Well, I mean, the Lana Tisdale. Would she be considered a lesbian? Actually, I don't know.
I think no, but you know, it's also it's fluid.
Yeah, it's fluid. Wow, what a great question. No, never auditioned for it. Thank you very much.
Weird.
Yeah, not okay with that. Have I ever played a lesbian? Surely I have.
I mean, come on.
I don't know that I have. How embarrassing.
You might have to age into playing lesbians. I think
I'm going to be that hot 50-year-old. Yeah. Fuck, that makes me upset now.
You have to seek it out. Put it at the top of your reel. Just do just record a lesbian monologue.
Okay, that's what I'm going to do.
This is what the business is, right?
Great. Okay.
Okay, Natalie. And actually, I mean, we're going to do this one together. I'm going to set you up for the line reading, okay?
Okay. Can't wait.
After listening to your podcast, it seems that you and your husband are fans of old Hollywood. Mickey Rooney, Ava Gardner, Peter Lawford talk. Anne and I have a game where we love to talk about old Hollywood stars who were hung like a horse. So, like this list includes Frank Sinatra, Cesar Romero, Milton Berle, Errol Flynn, Mickey Rooney, and Groucho Marx. I still take question with Mickey Rooney, but okay.
No, it's true. It's true.
Okay, so Ava said the following about Sinatra.
He was only 110 pounds, but 10 pounds of it is cock.
She claims that she never said that.
Really?
Yes.
You've read her book recently.
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
so did she talk about Mickey Rooney's dick in it?
Yes. First of all, he could not stop fucking.
He's disgusting.
He's so
I'm
sick.
sorry.
He's disgusting.
May he rest, I guess, but he was disgusting.
No,
No,
disgusting.
he can't rest.
Look, he also, like, he stepped out on her and everyone else.
He was awful.
Disgusting.
He was awful.
He's awful. But also, like, I'm reading this book and I know what Mickey Rooney looks like. Like, we all know what he looks like. And yet, listening to her talk about him, I had to go and look him up again. I'm like, nope, that's him. You're disgusting.
The thing is, like, he was a cute teen or something, but like,
No.
like if something, he had something as like a teen.
He had a tight little body and a vaudevillian
Yeah,
manner.
clearly
He had the face of a thumb and the body of like an athletic teen.
Yeah, she claims to have never said that. So
Okay, good to
I
know.
don't know that I believe her.
Our question,
But, you know.
the question here, whatever. The question was, what is your favorite piece of old Hollywood gossip, and do you have anyone to add to our list?
I do fancy a good old Hollywood piece of gossip. Mm-hmm. I do know, I can't name any names, but speaking of like actors being hung, I know of several of our contemporary actors that are not because I know, but because I have friends.
Okay, so I
can't-
think Damien and I were going through like a current day Hollywood list. So I feel like the people in question are like Fassbender, Liam Neeson,
John Hamm,
John
Jay-Z.
Hamm. We're just looking for
These
any
are the ones that
eyebrow
there's, like,
raise.
some sort of, like-
Natalie's not going to say anything, but we're just. She has no.
There's a couple well, there's one in particular.
Just give us
can
the
I even
initials.
say-
Just give us the initials.
Can I say that we talked about him on the pod? Like that
Oh.
we talked. I mean, we talked about a lot of guys, so it's okay.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna.
Yeah. I don't know for a fact, but it like the lore is, and it's funny because sometimes people will ask me, and I'm like, I don't fucking know. Yeah,
Okay.
it's not an obvious. It's also not the ones you may be thinking.
Okay. I'm gonna go back and when we're listening. I'm gonna be like,
I don't think you're gonna hear it.
I'm literally racking my brain. Sorry, I just lost myself. Okay.
okay.
Natalie, you have an extensive television career, and by our count, you've worked for almost every network. ABC with Dirty Sexy Money, CBS for Under the Dome and the Unicorn, NBC Passions, of course, Fox for The Following, HBO's Hung, Showtime's Californication and White Famous, TBS The Detour, FX The Shield and Justified. Which network treated you the best?
Oh, what a great question. And I'm answering this because I didn't notice how I was being treated by the network, which is probably going to be the bet. I would say Showtime, weirdly.
Oh.
Didn't see that coming.
I know. Twist.
I'm telling you, you
what?
could have had that L word Showtime money back in the day. That's where we needed you.
See? Oh, we talking money? Oh, hold on. I didn't know that's what that meant.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, not money.
Okay.
Just generally like perks, comfort.
Because if it's money,
respect,
it's TBS.
all of it.
Just if we're asking. Yeah.
Oh.
Thank you,
Okay,
TBS.
TBS.
Okay.
Yeah.
Team Coke.
I earned it. I earned it. Yeah.
Okay, so Natalie, something that we've noticed about a lot of your television credits is that you are often cast, as previously discussed, many times as a love interest in male-centered series. Of course, Justified, but also The Shield, The Following, Californication, Hung, and White Famous. All these things we just said. Have there been any female-centered series that got away? Like, are you sick of straight man energy?
Yeah, there was one that got away recently, speaking of Showtime. I don't know what the status is of it. It's called Yellow Jackets, and it was basically an all-female cast, and I came close on that one. Grey's Anatomy, I was supposed to test for the role of Izzy and turned down the test to do a show called Eyes.
Oh, no, Tim Daly!
With Tim Daly. Oh no.
5 episodes, guys.
Yeah.
5 episodes.
Oh, man.
I know. But yeah, I'm writing, I have, not to plug anything, but I just optioned a script with Warner Brothers. It's a 6 female lead cast. And I have a development deal with Bill Lawrence's company right now. And we're working on a show that would be, there would be a lot of women in it. So I guess I'm just gonna have to do it myself because people just see me as the love interest still. I'll age out of it. I assume maybe not.
Yeah, but you're aware of it.
Oh yeah. It's also paid my mortgage, so I'm not mad at it.
Yeah.
You've worked with two older character actresses we adore, Veronica Cartwright and Joanna Cassidy. Veronica played your ailing mother in the thriller In Sight.
Yep.
And Joanna Cassidy played your mom in the indie Too Much. We've been talking a lot about like you sort of like aging into character roles maybe.
Yes.
Did either of these women have any like good advice about longevity in the business, tidbits, good stories? Did you like make connections with them?
Oh, I loved both of those women so much. And we didn't talk a lot about like acting or their crafts or, the business or anything, but I was sort of starstruck with both of them, but with the Witches of Eastwick, I couldn't. I was like, you're my mom. And then with Joanna, I love her. Well, first of all, the movie I did with Joanna was one of the most difficult and challenging projects I've ever done, because it was back when people were that trend of like doing one long take. And so every act in this movie was 1 20-minute take. And, that's a whole day of just shooting these grueling scenes.
And also you had a very difficult scene, like hearing, spoiler, like the death of your daughter.
Yeah, so I have to start out being cute and flirty and fun, and then I have to just be devastated and break down and like a nervous breakdown. And she was incredible. I mean, it's so like you don't want to be the one to fuck up. And she comes in, in kind of the middle-ish. So we just kind of bonded over like this sort of battlefield type, environment of like, let's just not be the ones to mess up. But what I love the most about her was when I got pregnant, I didn't make an announcement or anything, but the first thing that I attended where I was showing was a screening of Too Late. And she was like, listen, you look great. Don't let anyone tell you that you're too skinny because, fuck those fat bitches. You don't have to eat your face off. Like, you can still be a human being. You don't have to be garbage disposal, right? And I'm like, I want to devour you. You're like, yes, you're fucking everything.
Oh my God.
And I was like, wait, should I be am I too skinny?
That's a good Joanna Cassidy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, you've played the love interest to a lot of men. We've mentioned all their names: Rob Lowe, Peter Krause, Blair Underwood, Michael Chiklis, Timothy Oliphant, and Kevin Bacon. If you had a body to bury, which one of these men would you call?
Give me the list again.
Okay, Kevin Bacon, Michael Chiklis, Blair Underwood, Peter Krause, Timothy Oliphant, and Rob Lowe.
Duchovny's not on there.
You think he'd do it? He'd make it happen?
I wouldn't call him.
Okay, but from Californication, of course.
It's between Krause, Bacon, and Duchovny. Those are the three that I would. Wow. Blair he's way too sweet. Like, he would be like, oh, babe, I can't.
Okay.
I can't do that.
So wait, you said Peter.
No, Peter, Kevin, and
Duchovny. You added him in.
I did. Yeah. Yeah. All of us. What a fun party that would be. We go get drinks afterwards.
Okay, Natalie, last question. Fuck, marry, kill, Passions Edition. Timmy the doll, Precious the orangutan nurse, or Tabitha the resident witch?
Okay. Well, I wasn't around for Precious, so... Oh.
You're killing her then.
I guess I'll marry him. I'll marry that orangutan because I just put him in a cage and we'll just settle it. That means I have to kill Timmy and I have to fuck Tabitha. Wow. Oh yeah, that just went south.
That went really dark.
Here's my lesbian role.
There it is. You and Juliette Mills.
I mean, I would actually IRL.
Oh man.
My husband would definitely, but we're not going to go there.
Classically trained.
Yeah, very, very much so.
Got it.
Natalie Z, this has been a total pleasure. Thank you so much for being on You Might Know Her From.
No, thank you. I'm the one who I've never done that my whole life. I DM'd you and I was like, I want to be on your show. I have never done that, just so you know. So that's honored. How this happened.
We're totally honored. Thank you so much. Okay, first of all, who has the Boys Don't Cry footage? I am so annoyed that we can't seem to track it down. Whoever has it, send it our way.
We have to DM this to Kimberly Peirce. Like, I need her to engage with the queer community about this piece of little cinema. I want to see it. I was trying to imagine like what it looks like, because Natalie said that they didn't finish it. So I was like, is it like a lot of footage, but because the story isn't like complete, is it like mixed with like found footage, like art, like is it mixed with like newspaper clippings? What's that called?
Microfiche.
Yeah, is it sort of like a mixture, like a multimedia mixture of things to tell the narrative of Brandon Tina's story? I want to see it.
I honestly thought it was going to be so easy to find, because you can find so much stuff on like Crackle or the Criterion collection, but we couldn't find it anywhere. And obviously Natalie has never seen it. So that will be one of our diamonds in the rough that we'll be looking for till the end of time. Number 2 things that blew my mind about Natalie was talking with her about the hideousness of Mickey Rooney and his huge penis. Damien and I, if you don't know, one of our favorite topics is old Hollywood hung like a horse. And that's, of course, discussing old Hollywood actors that seem to have enormous dicks. I'm less interested in the current crop, though I was very into Natalie, like giving us basically a blind item.
Oh, yeah. Who do you think it is? When you were re-listening to it for our edit, did you have any guesses? The first person that came to my mind when I was like, oh, did she mean Peter Krause? However you say his name, Peter Krause?
I think that's a good guess, because to me, he carries himself like a person who's like mildly attractive, but like has a lot of confidence. To me, he's not like super hot. So I could see that.
Yeah, that like child's haircut that he has. Ugh. He's way too confident with that haircut, so he must have a huge dick. Is he still
with Lauren Graham? Is that a thing that's still happening?
I have no idea. Remember when she was Adelaide in Guys and Dolls?
Oh my God. It was a mistake to not see it, honestly.
Same.
I was like, is it Kevin Bacon? And then I was like, oh no, we've seen Kevin Bacon's penis. It's respectable, but not enormous. We've seen it multiple times. And then she said Duchovny, and I was like, oh, I guess it could have been Duchovny too. But honestly, I was thinking Timothy Oliphant, because I think he is very attractive, and I think he carries himself similarly with like a type of swagger that indicates that he might have a big penis.
Oh, David Duchovny is like so fucking, like he makes me horny.
Even now with the face now.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, the face now does not do it for me, but anytime we're talking like the Red Shoe Diaries, yes. I'm talking, what was that movie that he was in with Angelina Jolie years and years ago? Oh my God. And Timothy, oh my God, Hutton. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Anyway, he's super hot. I mean, the X-Files is obviously peak. Listeners, let us know who you think. What man from the interview do you think Natalie was talking about?
And if you search the hashtag old Hollywood hung like a horse, it's a real mouthful. You can find some of people from our research. One I'm most invested in is Cesar Romero. I love that motherfucking Joker.
The only other time we've mentioned it on the podcast is when we asked Lainey Kazan if she ever saw Cesar Romero's dick and if it was as big as everyone said it was. She said she never got the honor.
So have you figured out how we can connect this week's guest, Natalie, to next week's guest for the listeners?
I think so. It's not through a credit, but Natalie Z was in the following opposite often naked Kevin Bacon, who happened to give an Emmy alongside his wife, Kira Sedgwick, who I love, to next week's guest, who I have to say has been a long time coming. It's a big deal for us, folks. A really big deal.
We can't wait for you to hear it.
Did you find a way?
I did. So Natalie was in an indie film called Gray Lady with Rebecca Gayheart and her husband Eric Dane. And Eric Dane was in X-Men 3 with next week's guest. So, get ready.
Brace yourselves.
Folks, thanks for being here with us.
Yes.
While we're here, we just want to implore you to please, thank you for all those DMs and messages and comments. Please leave us a little written review. Please leave us a few stars. Let us know what you think. If you have constructive criticism, please leave that in a DM, and please give us the goods on iTunes.
I'm going to tell you, if it's 3 stars or less, do not bother. I'd prefer no review to 3 stars. Thank you so much. Folks, you can find us both on social media at Damien Bellino and at Rotoman on all mediums. Just send us notes. We like hearing from you. It's like a little Valentine. It's like, remember, did you ever like have that special way of folding a letter in grade school where it like would fold over with a little tab and then it would go under?
No, I wasn't very good at things like that.
Oh.
I had to learn how to do a fortune teller. It took me a long time.
Those were terribly difficult.
You Might Know Her From is produced by us, Ann Rodeman and Damien Bellino.
We want to send a great thank you to our consultants at Grumpy Entertainment, Jason Jude Hill and Daniel Sears, and all that beautiful editing by the wonderful Mr. Daniel Sears.
Many thanks to Gang for all that music you hear in this episode and all of our episodes. You can find Gang on iTunes or wherever you listen to your music. We love Gang. Gang's from Philly. Gang is the best.
Here's the thing. I Want It That Way is a perfect song. Period. It is perfect. There's nothing better than it.
I like when Nick comes in. He's like not my favorite vocalist of the group, but I like when he goes, but we... He does a Britney Spears thing.
He does a bebe voice, yes.
Yeah.
Don't wanna hear you. Who's that?
I believe that's Brian, unfortunately. I also, you know who I'm always into and who is really giving posh on their vocals? Kevin. Sorry, sorry to some of our listeners who might be Kevin heads. Ugh. But he always like, now I can see that will fall, which is the same to me as like, streets are paved with gold. It's like, it's like very, it's like a real...
Because he's not even, I don't even think he's like a real bass, which Lance Bass in NSYNC is a true bass singer. So like I'm into that, but I think Kevin is a top singer.
If you say so, Anne, that Lance Bass...
I'm calling Lance Bass a true bass, and I'm saying I'm comparing Kevin Richardson more to Michael from Boys to Men, the one who had a cane that always like, baby, I know that you love me. You know I love you, baby. Like talking like that. That is how Kevin sings.
I once Googled or searched on YouTube Lance Bass solo so I could hear his voice, and it was hard to find.
Oh, I'm going to find it right now.